Hey everyone, I'm Emily from The Book Geek, and this is Layla, and we're doing this week's book haul. I've got some really exciting books this week, some that I read a long time ago, and some that I've read since I got them, and not all of them I like, but I'll talk a bit about that with each one. There's lots of books to show you, so try not to talk too much. Okay, so this is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I talked about this in my last vlog. It is, I don't know, I can't even put into words how exciting this book is. It's a fantasy with a dragon who's not really a dragon, but is actually a guy who's a wizard. And it's beautiful. I mean, physically it's a beautiful book. You should read this. I'm just saying, if you're not sure, just pick it up in a library or try the Kindle sample, because I was hooked pretty straight away. And I just finished reading this one yesterday. This is Naomi, and it's by Noelle Stevenson, and it's actually a graphic novel. And I've seen this like going about on the internet a bit. I think it started off as a webcomic. But it's a fantasy, but it's about heroes and villains who are not necessarily your typical heroes and villains. And then we've got Nimona, who becomes a sidekick to the evil villain. And she's very spunky. I'm sure most people will fall in love with her. And this is another book that I mentioned in the last vlog. It is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I have already read this one as well, but I mean, this cover is so gorgeous that I kind of had to get a physical copy. I mean, look at the artwork inside as well. Okay, and we also have Crimson Bound by Rosamund Hodge. I read this a long time ago, actually. I think it was back in January. I read like ARC or December, or something like that. But I love the authors of A Book Called Beauty, and I love this one too. They were both 5-star reads for me. So if you like fairy tale retellings, but loose fairy tale retellings that don't really stick to the old story, then you should definitely check her out. And we have More Happy Than Not by Adam Silver. Sorry, probably butchered his name, but this is about a boy who is gay, and it's a bit like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where he tries to essentially forget that he's gay, and I guess the ultimate thing about it is that you can't forget who you are. It will always come back. Then there's The Stars Never Rise by Rachel Vincent. I think like some of Rachel Vincent's books are a bit hit or miss, but I really enjoyed this one. I can't even explain why it's so good. It's not spectacularly different. It's like a dystopia paranormal with like strong heroine, but it's very compelling. It's very easy to read. You just kind of speed through it. So I would recommend it if you like paranormal books with a dystopian twist. Also, another one that I just finished is Ink and Bone by Rachel Kane. She's another author that I didn't like her Morganville Vampire series, but I really liked her last book, The Prince of Shadows. That was a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, and that was really good. This one is very different. They did that kind of marketing campaign, which was like Harry Potter meets the book geek, no, not the book thief meets Fahrenheit 451. And normally I hate those things, but I think it's such a pretty accurate description. It's set in a sort of alternate world where the Great Library runs everything, and there are people called burners who burn books, and the main character is a book thief. And it has a kind of Harry Potter vibe, because they go to the library and they have to go through tests, and there are teachers who you're not quite sure if they're a good guy or a bad guy, but it's really good. You should check it out. Okay, this is the book I'm currently reading, and I know loads of people have read Cinder by Marissa Meyer, but I actually tried to read it when it first came out, like a few years ago, and I couldn't get into it. I put it down pretty quick. But since then, there's been so much hype and so many sequels that I've kind of felt like I needed to come back to it. My co-blogger Brandy hates this book, so we'll see if we agree. Another old one that I have but I haven't read is The Selection by Kiera. I'm not sure if this is my thing. It kind of it gained popularity at a time when loads and loads of dystopias were coming out, and I'd read so many and I didn't really want to commit to another series of the same kind of thing. But I feel like now, I think there's like 5 books. I think I'm just curious and I want to see if I missed out. I also have Paperweight by Meg Huston. I'm not sure what this book is about. I think it's about a girl with an eating disorder, though that could be incorrect. Yeah, no, it is about a girl with an eating disorder. I've been hearing some good things about this recently. It's a brand new book. Just came out like a few days ago, I think. And I think it's a debut as well, so it should be interesting to see the new author's style. I'm looking forward to it. I also have The Fill-In Boyfriend by Casey West. This is another one that's got really good reviews. It's not my usual thing because I tend to stay away from YA contemporary romance, but I did like Casey West's other books. They were cute, and so, you know, I'll try it. Maybe it can fall my romantic heart. Unromantic heart. I also have Queen of the Tailing by Erika Johansson. I keep hearing so much hype about this book. I don't know, I think the problem was is that the first review I read of this was a negative one, and it kind of put me off the entire thing, but I now keep seeing positive reviews popping up, so, you know, I have to find out for myself. It's just what I'm like. I also got Sugar by Deirdre Riordan Hall, and this is a book I wouldn't have chosen myself, generally, but I saw it on Goodreads. I think it was Khan's review. She gave it a really good review, so I had to check it out myself. This is called The Book Scavenger. It is a kid's book, but it's about a 12-year-old girl, I think she's 12, anyway. It's about a young girl called Emily who has to like go around finding books, like following clues to find books all over the country or something. Well, I don't know about you, but this sounds like my ultimate dream. If I was 12 years old or younger, I would have absolutely loved this book. I know I would have. So I kind of have to try it still. Okay, this is another book I just finished. Well, it's actually a reread. I mean, everyone knows Paper Towns by John Green. There's the new movie coming out. And I read this years ago, and then I read The Fault in Our Stars, and I was one of the few people who really didn't get into that book. I didn't like it at all. And I started to wonder if maybe John Green, maybe his style had changed, or maybe I'd just grown out of him, and I always kind of wanted to come back to the early books I enjoyed to see if they were different or if I had changed. And reading this again was a really great experience. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I returned to it because it did turn out to be a great read once again. Okay, and then I have the Chaos Walking trilogy. I have read all of these books multiple times, but it is still possibly my favourite YA series, and I know that is a big claim to make. But I think all of these books are fantastic and sad and deep and funny, and they're so much more than you expect them to be. And they're also sometimes considered children's books. I think it's probably because the narrator, Todd, I think he's like 13. But to me, these are not children's books. Well, no more than any other that adults read. They're very powerful, and if you haven't read them, I strongly, strongly recommend it. And also have Skyscraping by Cordelia Johansson. This is a book in verse, as you can see. It's alright, actually. I did finish it. It wasn't my favourite book in verse. I think books by like Sarah Crossan are stronger, but it's a decent book about dealing with finding out something and your life changing. And it's got a very pretty cover. Then I have Immaculate by Caitlin Detweiler. And this is a book I also read a while ago. It's an unusual book, and I thought that it took quite a bold premise and it actually made it work. I wasn't expecting it to work as well as it did. It's about essentially like an immaculate conception. Like this girl is told by this woman that she's going to have a baby, and she's like, that's impossible. And then she's pregnant. And I thought it might be a really religious book, but it's not, thankfully. It's more about that particular situation itself and how you would deal with that, because obviously no one will believe you. I mean, imagine somebody telling you that. So it's about how this girl deals with it and the bullying and her friends turning her back on her. It was really good. And finally, I don't know why I saved this one till last, because this is slightly a negative note, but this is Daughter of Deep Silence by Carrie Ryan. And I quite liked some of Carrie Ryan's earlier zombie books, The Forest of Hands and Teeth. They were weird, but it worked well with the creepiness. This book I didn't like so much. I like the cover, I love the title, but I thought that it was sort of sold as like a thriller and a revenge plot, but it was more, for me, about the romance between the main character and the guy that she suspected might be involved in her parents' deaths. I don't know about you, but if I thought a guy was involved in my parents' deaths, I would not be thinking that he's hot. So, thank you for listening, and don't forget to check out the blog and enter our giveaway from last time. You can still enter to win 8 of our favourite books of 2015 so far. So, you say bye, Layla. Bye-bye.